You're listening to ArTEEtude, a podcast with artists created and produced by Detlef Schlich, a visual artist and ritual designer, living and loving in West Cork, and best known for his essay about the cause and effect of shamanism, art and digital culture. Working in the field of performance, photography, painting, sound, installations, and film, he will dive and discover with us and a weekly creative guest into the unknown and exciting deep ocean of the creative mind.
Hello, this is Detlef Schlich, and today we dive into the deep unknown ocean of the creative mind together with Gerry Thomas.
Hey.
Hi, Geraldine.
Hi, Detlef.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna put the candles on. That's
oh,
actually
great. Yeah, it's Ireland. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning and you need to put the candles on because it's always dark and damp.
Yeah, oh God, don't tell me. I mean, it's actually for me the first time that I'm gonna do a talk so early in the morning.
Yeah, because I am like you, German, and I like to get shit done.
Well, I'm gonna get my shit done normally a little bit later, but
well, nur der frohe Vogel fängt den Wurm. Kennst du das nicht?
Yeah. So translated into English is it
only the early bird catches the worm, whatever that means.
Good morning, Geraldine.
Good morning, Detlef.
So what do you prefer? Shall I call you Geraldine or Gerry?
Gerry, please.
Gerry.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm happy to have you here. Why I'm so happy, I tell you in a minute later. I might just introduce you a little bit to our listeners. Gerry is German like me as well, and she came to Ireland. When was it?
Well, my parents bought a house in Skull in 94. I was my early 20s and I didn't go with it. They moved here and I didn't go with them. And in 2005, my marriage had broken out. I had a 5-year-old son and my dad said I was a single mom working. My child was always in kindergarten, the last one to be picked up in front of the television because I was exhausted. The usual fucking story. No money, blah, blah, blah. And so my dad said, come and stay with the family. And so I was working in Wildcat doing tattoos and piercings for the last 3 years. And they were the best people I've ever worked for, by the way, Ida and Martin. And they're absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I had to say this. And
yeah, sure.
Very supportive always. And so I decided in 2005 to go to Ireland and live with my family to have support for my child. And I opened a tattoo shop in Bantry. And I brought with me...
Who was tattooing? You yourself?
No, a friend of mine who was from East Berlin, very talented. He started tattooing. He didn't speak any English, and I started piercing, and it worked a treat. But unfortunately, as many artists and many people, he was an addict, and it didn't work out. He had to leave, and then my journey continued, and doing various things.
Yeah.
And I'm still here. And finally, after 15 years. I can do. First off, my son is in college in his last year. He's 21, and I've paid off my mortgage, and so I can do whatever not whatever I want, but I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm free to work what I love and do best.
Which is great. Yeah, I mean, actually, in a location like here, it is really
very inspiring. And I have to say, coming back to the weather, I love the dark days and I love the bad weather and the rain and the wind. And, you know, people always say, oh, I want blue skies and I want it to be warm. And I always think it wouldn't inspire me. It wouldn't inspire me to look at the sky that is always blue. It is not inspiring. It depresses me.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of people say, oh, I think it's ridiculous. And in a greater scheme, it's like yin and yang, and there is no light without shadow, and there is no good weather without bad weather. So you appreciate the sunny days way more.
pleasure and pain. That's,
It's always in opposites, you know. It's dialectic. It's thinking in the opposite. And I think that applies to everything in life.
absolutely. No, I mean, that's actually, I mean, now again, I don't want to be too esoteric, but that's the way how the universe works, you know. And
Absolutely.
and I mean, tension and release. It's for me. I understand it. Then all I understand it more and more and more. I think it's very difficult to understand if you're young. You know, you say,
yeah, you grow into your shoe and you grow into your life. You know, whatever it throws at you.
Yeah, and so.
And sometimes you fail, and you know it brings you. If you're able to go to a place where you really are in the dark and you let yourself go, you let yourself collapse under the floorboard. That's the biggest lesson and the most painful, but also the most. It's the biggest lesson that life can give you.
Was dich nicht kaputt macht, macht dich härter. What doesn't kill you
Well,
makes you
I don't
harder.
really like that expression, but what I like is
But it's true.
It is true. But I have been in places where I didn't want to continue, and I want to say it's another thing. It's a big thing that I do believe that suicide is a brave thing, and not it's not cowardly. And I think everybody should have the right to decide what to do with their lives.
Yeah.
And let's not go into that, but
No,
it's something that I really want to say. I think suicide is one of the.
Let's clarify that here. So we're not encouraging here nobody for committing
obviously
suicide.
no.
Yeah.
I am not encouraging anybody.
Yeah. Where are you originally from? In Germany.
I am born in Kamp Lindfort, which is the nearest city to that would be Düsseldorf. So I'm Niederrhein.
So you're actually my neighbor from.
Yeah, you're from Cologne. Yeah.
Cologne and Düsseldorf.
We're rivals in the football team.
Yeah, it's like the
Not that I know anything about it.
I mean, you know, it's a little bit like the Cork and carriage, isn't it? Somehow, that's great. Yeah, cool. Because I mean, I didn't know that actually. I thought you're a real Ruhrpott girl, like from Essen.
Well, no. Well, then I So this is where I grew up. I left home when I was 16, and I moved into the Ruhrpott, which is
Ruhrpott, yeah,
Ruhrpott,
absolutely.
Duisburg,
Yeah.
Essen.
You sound like that.
Duisburg, Essen, and that's where I spent most of my years. Then living in Germany until
you learn a lot of lectures in the Ruhrpott. I think.
Yeah. And it has a university, and it is
comparable with Glasgow, the area of Glasgow, because I had Ray McKinley last two talks before, and she's coming from the suburbs of Glasgow.
All right.
And I mentioned that the Ruhrpott could be comparable with.
Well, it's a coal mining.
Yeah.
It was a coal mining.
Yeah, no,
a lot of industries.
Yeah,
you know?
and I mean Glasgow was as well. I don't know was it coal mine? I'm not sure, but as well.
I don't know anything about Glasgow.
Very industrial, you know. So even the suburb areas.
Yeah.
You know,
so this is where I, did a lot of my schooling
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
I am a trained librarian, so that was the first start into my life. And then,
how long did you do the librarian?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Just
in the local town library
in Germany.
Yes.
Did you So you worked 3 years in that,
Yes.
and then you quit it completely, or did you?
No, I got let go because it was from the town, also vom Rathaus, ne?
Yeah,
From the town in Camp Linford, my hometown.
yeah.
And they cut the cultural sector, and all the ladies who worked there were there for 30 years, 40 years, and I was the last one. I did an apprenticeship.
When was it? In the 80s, 70s?
No, I'm born 73, so I
Eight-
was 18. I already had a car, so whatever it was,
90.
something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I quit, I went to a gig. I was always like, obviously I was a punk rocker or whatever.
Where
you
we
wanna
coming
associate.
in a later
in a
part.
second. So we had this cool bar called Flagranti, and my dad used to own it with a friend of his, but not at that stage. So I was 15. I would walk for 2 hours. It would only open at 11 o'clock. Was like the coolest. People from Cologne, people would travel to just be in that club. It was tiny. It had a back garden, and they would only play like Bauhaus and
Einstürzen und Neubau.
Einstürzen and Neubau and all that like real fucking edgy stuff.
Fuck you.
And we would just be like, I was infiltrated with that sound and lifestyle. Anyway, so there was a band called Shock Therapy, and their famous song, they came from Detroit, and their famous song was Hate is Just a 4-letter Word. It was played in every grifty punk rock shop you could like imagine. It was a hit on the dance floor. And I knew the song, and I always danced to it. And this guy who worked in the bar there had a crush on me, invited me on a Sunday gig for this Shock Therapy gig. And I attended because I had nothing else to do. And I didn't like the guy at all, but I thought I'd get a free ticket. So, and yeah, I'm just honest. He was insulting me all the time. He said I was too skinny. He would bring me pieces of bread on the dance floor, little piece of shit.
No way.
Yes, he did. Anyway, he was
Did
stupid.
you brought him pieces?
What? What?
Not at all.
Doesn't
Bread.
matter. Anyway, and then so the gig finished. They played the song, and I thought, oh, that's the band who plays that song. So I started talking to the singer, and he invited me to the after party, and we drove in my little car, and it was the 23rd of January, and it was snow outside, and I had a Patti Smith tape in it, and the song we played was he de-iced my screen, and he said, oh, you're Patti Smith fan? I said, yeah, she's like my grandmother. If I listen to her, I feel
Very cozy.
at home.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the song he played she was singing was Free Money, and we had a party and we spent the night together, and the next day he left, and he rang me 2 days later, and I took the train to Karlsruhe, Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Emptied my account of €4,000 that my grandfather had saved up from the day I was
Alright.
born, and continued to go on tour with them. Slept in between the drum kit in the van, and did that. And then he returned back to Detroit, and a week later he came over, and then I moved to Detroit when I was 20,
Yeah.
and that continued for 4 years, and then returned to Germany for briefly, and then had my son, and yeah, survived for 5 years and came here.
In Germany, but it
Yeah.
was probably quite difficult. So what we speak about, when was it, 2000 or so, when you came back to Germany?
No, I came back to
98,
Germany
something like this?
98, yeah.
So
My son is born 99.
I moved over to Ireland 2003, and so it was probably quite tricky to stay in Germany with all this experience all over the place in such a organized place like Germany.
Well, I tell you something about that. I am still organized.
Ah, you are.
I am
Yeah.
still organized,
and so disciplined.
and I hate not getting the petrol in 5 minutes because I have to talk to 10 people. I still don't like this, and I do not like that I'm never.
so German.
And I do not like that I'm not anonymous anywhere.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay.
I like to be in this nature. Nature is a big part of I don't like the sea. It scares me, and if I never see the sea again,
Can you swim?
it's fine. Yes, I can swim. I hate water, and
Wow.
But I love the trees and the mountains.
Yeah.
And when as a little girl, I would always, every day, go into the forest. I always have a dog by my side. And yeah, when I'm among the trees, I feel at home.
Yeah, and I mean, so Ireland doesn't have so much trees anymore. Like.
While I was traveling, I went up to Donegal and Connemara and Cavan. I stayed in an equestrian centre, and the trees, when we drove up the driveway, I started crying because I hadn't seen trees like this since I've grown up.
Honestly,
I
haven't been there for ages. I mean,
it is something to me that it's sacred.
I saw some of your postings, images on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I must say, some of these places, they were really very special. So I really admired them. I thought, wow, I would like to go over there and do a performance
do go. I give you, after the talk, I'll give you some addresses. And
or paint it or whatever, or
I'm going to work in Cavan in those stables in January for free.
Over there?
Yeah. I was for accommodation, and because I used to compete in horse riding. I'm a pretty good horse rider.
All right.
Say. I'm not allowed to get a medal for that.
She's
falling off the stool, not off the horse, but off the fucking stool. Okay, Detlef, go on now.
All
this is
right.
going to take. If I start talking, I never stop.
You know what? So we are almost done with the first part.
Yeah.
I would say what we're gonna do is we're gonna go with your artwork into the second part already.
Okay.
So we can continue just the first part now with that where we are, because if we would start now with all this things, we're gonna go deep into that. And
No.
It would be.
It's just that I like once I start talking, everything is related to. I see my life when I start talking.
Yeah.
It's a movie that is in front of my eyes. So
you know what?
And I never stop talking.
I love that because
I have a visual mind.
But it is great because I started this podcast. I must say, I started it actually. Because I couldn't continue with my opera, and because
I didn't want to be the zebra.
and because I thought, this is actually a concept which is nice, because you can.
I think it's great.
You can get very close to people. You can make people smile. You can make people think about things. The concept is for an artist very special, because visualizing thing just via the medium of audio, it goes already into ancient times.
Well, for me.
Back to the oral culture, actually.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but for me, it's like art. For me is art is creation, and you can create. I can do this. This is art, because I created this pile of whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, this is it: to have an idea or a visual, or from a song line, I create a visual, or it creates an emotion in my body. For me, the concept is to make it into a tangible piece that somebody can touch, and it has a story and a name and a history, and that is for me. This is the art form I used. I use now with my jewelry, and I think that makes me really happy to have a thought and to be able to let it go through my hands and create this. Whether you understand it or not, that's up to you.
No, sure. I mean, that's actually the nice thing in
art.
in making art, whatever which way it is. Is it poetry or images or?
Well, it started out with
sculptures.
poetry. While you're saying the word, previous to this, my new journey or adventure or whatever you want to call it.
If you hear this funny noises, Geraldine is just eating
croissant, because she always has to eat something. I'm also the singer in the band First Class and Coach.
We come to that in the third part
eventually.
But
poetry.
So, yeah,
so my only art form was poetry.
So I thank you very much. I think we had a great introduction in the first part. We didn't want that, but I mean that's the great thing. We are so flexible in ArTEEtude, which is so cool, and I really liked it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and see you in the second part. Bye. Ciao. This is a listener-supported show. I feel honored if you subscribe this show. You can follow me non-financial with the following click on one of my Instagram accounts, or subscribe the visual version of this podcast on YouTube via the link below. If you like what you hear, be sure to tune in next Wednesday for the next ArTEEtude talk with a special guest. If you want to leave a donation for a coffee or a bus ticket, just follow the donation link via the ArTEEtude podcast account. Eventually, I would like to thank, through this medium, all my members and listeners of the I Love West Cork Artists Network from all over the world. Just to remember myself that without you, this here couldn't and wouldn't happen.
You have listened to ArTEEtude, West Cork's first art, fashion and design podcast. ArTEEtude, never so close again. That was too close.